Welcome back, friends. This is the part 8 of the tutorial series. So in this part we will continue working on the shop page. That's the home page, and we'll work on the content section here. Okay, and before I do that, I wanted to show you something here for the toolbar. You can also change the color for the toolbar here with the color attribute. If I use any of those strings that are available, like primary, secondary, dark, light, tertiary, so that will change the color based on the color scheme that you currently have. So if I choose primary here, save the changes and go back to my app to make it a blue bar here. Okay, so you can explore, you can change the colors. Definitely there's a color creator available here in the dock somewhere. You can create your own custom colors, otherwise you can choose any of these strings. So I choose success, it will make it a green bar here, green toolbar, like that. As of now, I'm not going to use any color for this series here, but you can definitely go and play around with it. Okay, so let's focus on the content section here. So as you can see, it already has iron header here, so you can put iron header, iron footer, anything inside the content, so that will be relative to that content only. It will not affect the iron header that is available here. Okay, now it will also see there's an app explorer container element or component here, which is responsible for displaying this message and the name. Okay, I don't want it here or on any of those pages, so I can simply go ahead and remove the use of that element. Instead, I'm also going to remove this header from here. I don't need it. I'll put a toolbar inside the iron content. You can use a toolbar wherever you want. Okay, and that will be a full length toolbar. Okay, so in the toolbar, I want to position it on the top, so I'll style tag, use position fixed, and from the top I want it to be 112 pixels. So this is the value I got after testing. So I'll make the iron content position as relative. Okay, so within that toolbar I want buttons, so I'll use the buttons tag, buttons wrapper here. Slot, I can use either primary. So primary is, again, if we go back to the documentation, we have iron buttons inside the toolbar. Toolbar, yeah. So primary means position the element to the right of the content in iOS mode and to the far right in the MD mode. That's your material design mode or Android. So I'll use primary, and inside that I'll use iron button. Might have guessed that already. And I'll use iron icon with the name of funnel outline. This will be my sorting button. Okay, so, and I'll give it a name, sort. I'll copy the button here, go down to another one, give it a name of filter outline. This will be my filter button. Save the changes, go back to the browser. There we have it, like this. Okay, but I want it to be placed on the top, and also I want to use some attributes of the button. The iron button has got some attributes also. One of them is color. I'll use the dark color here. Expand, block will expand to the full length, and fill will be clear. So if you go back to the documentation, go to iron buttons here, iron button, I'm sorry, not buttons. So you can see the properties, the attribute lets you specify how wide the button should be. It has two values, block and full, I'm using the block with rounded corners. Full will not have rounded corners, it will have square corners. Fill can have either clear, outline or solid, and the size small, default, large. Okay, so here I'm using color, expand and fill for this button, and for this one I'll again use color, dark, expand, block, pretty much the same thing, and fill is clear. Okay, save the changes, go back to the app. Looks like this, but these are still not positioned properly, so I have to use my CSS or SCSS to position them. So I'll target iron buttons with the slot of primary. Okay, so I'll give it a width of 100% and display as flex. So I'm using flex box here. Save the changes, go back, it will be inline and this has a full width. I can show you that by putting a border around the button element, 1 pixel solid red. Save changes, go back, it has a full width here. Okay, now I'll use this border as a reference just for the time being, and I use a flexbox property here, justify content to space between. Save the changes, go back to the browser. Now these are placed side by side, or to the very ends rather. So inside that, since this is SCSS, I can simply use iron button. I can target the iron button inside the iron button's slot primary element, and I'll tell it to occupy the full length available, full space available. Okay, now I'm gonna remove the border from here. Border, I don't want this. Save. There we go. Alright, these are two buttons that I have here. Let's continue working on the markup part here. So let's go out of the toolbar section, and I'll show you how you can create sliders. So for that we will use this ion slides component here. So ion slides, it takes ion slide as inner element. So go back to the documentation. It's always good to refer the documentation whenever you are in doubt. It will also give you a demo code here. Okay, and if you want to know more about the attributes and configuration that you can set here, you can always open this swiper link. This is the official documentation. So it uses the swiper module or swiper.js in the backend. Okay, so it's maybe the API. Autoplay, yeah. So these are the parameters or options that you can configure. Okay, so we'll configure it later. Okay, so inside the slides I'll use iron slide element, and we can loop through it. But before that we can loop, we need the list of images, and we'll use an image tag here. I'm going to keep it blank as of now because we need to create some arrays in the TypeScript file. We'll do that. In this ion slides, we'll choose the auto play, set it to 2000. Give it a class of iron padding. This is a inbuilt helper class. Okay. Pager, this is an attribute which gives you those dots. Okay, style, margin top. This is the inline style that I'm gonna give it here. Okay, and let's quickly go back to our TypeScript file here, and I'm gonna create an array. Okay, array here with the name slider images maybe, and inside my assets folder, let me check if I have any assets or not. No, I don't have any, so let me quickly go and copy those from my local folder here. Documents, so let's see. Assets, I have 5 slide images. I'm gonna paste it here. There we go. So I'm going to create an array here, assets slash slide 1 comma slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, the last one is slide 5. Okay, also I'm gonna create another variable, the name slider options. This will be an object. I'll put autoplay here, delay of 2000 milliseconds, that's 2 seconds, and loop true. Those are the only 2 attributes I'm going to use as of now. Alright, so go back to the HTML and remove this from here, and this will be options, slider options. And also here I'll use ng4, the structural directive, to loop through all the slider images. So let slide of slider images, this is my one slide, individual slide. So I'm gonna bind the source attribute to slide dot images, or maybe the slide, it has that value itself, right? Jpg, that's the extension, and alt will be anything. Put images here. Save those changes, go back to the app and see. Okay, so there is our slider, and we have this pager icon here. Okay, perfect. Also swipe through them, it's working fine. Let's focus on the content part here. So below the slider elements, I'll use the grid and create this grid that we have in our other frameworks like Bootstrap or Material Design. It has got row and columns. So inside the grid, I'll create a row so that I can create a column. If you want, you can give it a size, like what size you want. I mean 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. You put a size and put the value here. But for this element, for this section, I'm going to use a full width column, that's 12 column by default. Inside that, I'm going to use iron list to show the list items. Okay, that's my list of products will be inside a list, and I'll have list items inside the list. Okay, so I'll loop through the items. So in my pages, page 5 here, I need to subscribe to the product service, right, in order to fetch the product. So what I will do, I'll use the dependency injection functionality of Angular by putting the injecting the service here in the constructor product service like this. Make sure you put the import statement on the top. My ID does it automatically. I'll define a field here, is list array of products. Okay, be a product array. Initially it will be empty. I'll define few more like display list, again a product array. And the reason I'm defining multiple of these what do you call arrays is because I want to use few of them and I want to keep one as original. Okay, so in my HTML I'll loop through ng for let prod of displayed list. I'll use the displayed list all the time because I want to modify that only whenever needed. I don't want to modify the original list of products. Alright, so also I want to create a class of item, maybe item entry, and detail attribute. I'm going to use a detail attribute which will have that right arrow indicating that you can click that button and it will show you some more details. Okay, we'll see that in the browser in a moment. And the router link, this should take you to tabs, tab 1, prod detail with the prod.id, because we need this id value in the parameter, so I can fetch it from the backend. Inside this, what we want a thumbnail image of the product, so it will be inside like prod.images attribute. We'll fetch the first value and the source attribute from there. The alternate will be prod.name. Okay, so I'm using the ion image, not the regular one, because this is optimized for ionic. And if you want to put any text like heading or anything, you should always use the ion label here, wrapped within ion label. I'll use ion label. Inside that I'll use h3 tags and display the prod.name. Also give it a class item name. Okay, so we can style it later. There's another element, ion text. You can use that with an ion label and display the product price and use the currency what do you call it, filter or pipe rather. These are pipes. These are inbuilt pipes. For the class for the paragraph, I'll use a class price. Okay, and that's about it. And I go to tab 1.scss, scroll down. I'll use item entry class and give it a padding of 10 pixels top bottom and 0 from left right. For item name, I'm gonna set the font size to 20 pixels, font weight to 700 maybe, font style to normal, and font family to Arial, and fallback to sans serif. Color, I'll use the variable that's available iron color dark. I'll use the tint version here. Okay, this is the sample. And for the price, I'll use the color tertiary tint. It will be like this. These previews are pretty helpful. So I believe you have similar thing in VS Code as well, with the help of some extensions. So you can definitely check that out. I've saved the changes, and I can go back to my browser, refresh it, see the network tab. Oh, so you know what? I defined it, and I never used it. Okay, I never used that product service to fetch the product. So what I will do, I'll quickly inject another service here. That's the loading controller. This is the controller you get from Ionic, and I'll implement here the on init interface. Okay, with that I need to use the on init function. So I'll define a loader first, and to define it I need to make it async and use, so this gives me a promise. I'll use the await keyword here and use the loading controller dot create method. Okay, so this takes few arguments like the message you want to display. I want to display getting products dot type of spin I want to use is maybe bubbles, and you can always check the documentation for loading controller for all these attributes and the values we can use. And the animated attribute I'll set it to true, and that's it. And now I will call the get all products method from product service and subscribe to it, and this will give me a list of product, an array of products of type product model. And I will first dismiss my loader dot dismiss. Here I'll present the loader first. This loader dot present right. Now first of all I want to use the list array of products. This is the original array which will store my list of products. Now I want to copy it to my display product, and I'll use the spread operator here to list array of products. So this will copy it to my displayed list, and if there is any error, I want to console log as of now. Also I'll make this as async so that I can dismiss my loader, because the loader should be dismissed if there is an error as well. It should not keep on displaying there. Save the changes, go back to the browser. I'm getting products, give it some time, and we have an error here. And the error is that we are, I believe, unauthorized something. It's not able to locate shop cloudns.cl ping pinging, and so the IP address of the system got changed. So I'm gonna copy this, go to my host file here. Okay, replace this with this, save changes, and open my drivers or drivers. etc host. I need to replace this file here. New placed, and also I'll make it as read only. Perfect. Let's go back here, try to ping it now. Perfect. So make sure your IP is always your name, I mean that particular domain name is pointing to the current IP of your machine. So refresh the page, Give it some time. Pending. I'll have a response soon. So WordPress, it takes some time. It says 404, not authorized or not found. It says no route was found matching the URL. So let's go back. Headers. Copy the URL or just see the WooCommerce documentation once. See products. List all products. JSON. Okay. Create a new tab. Okay, so you cannot list the products. So this should be a query string. There is a mistake in my code here. I need to put a question mark here. Okay. Alright. Save the changes. Go back. It should give me a 401. Perfect. And a 401 not authorized. So this time I'm going to show you in the next video how we can use HTTP interceptor so as to inject the consumer key and consumer secret in the HTTP request automatically. For the time being, to test what we can do, we can put here params or simply use the keys directly here. And let me show you consumer underscore key equals to environment dot read only keys dot consumer key and consumer underscore secret equals to environment dot read only keys dot secret. So if I do this, save the changes, go back to the browser, I'll get the list of products. Okay. It'll not throw 401 this time, hopefully. Yeah, I have the list of products as expected. Okay, but this is not what we want, right? And we need to position this as well to the top here. What we want is to our interceptor to inject this automatically whenever needed. Okay, I'm going to remove it from here and remove the options also. Okay, so we will see that in the next video. Till then, let me know if you have any questions or comments or suggestions that I can update the series accordingly. And I hope you are liking this entire series, so please don't forget to like, subscribe and share my channel with your friends and colleagues. Till then, take care of yourself and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.